So the other elements that relate to assessment or summaries in ELF, communication about children's learning and progress. So this is communication with other staff members, with your management, with the parents, and obviously with the child as well. So you need to, obviously if, Rachel, if you've seen one of your team members focus children doing something really exciting or something out of the usual for them, make sure that you tell them. It's not your responsibility to obviously go and document that properly, but as long as you've wrote like a little note for them, it's really helpful for them. Awareness of all children's learning and progress. So even though you do have your own focused children in the room, you're still aware of all of the other children. You don't specifically follow those, say, 4 to 5 children around. You're aware of all the children's learning, and that really helps obviously pick up and drop off time. You can tell the parents have had a really good day and what they've been doing, and it just helps generally to plan experiences for the rooms. If you want a big group experience, you have a general understanding of what children will be participating in that experience and what their level of understanding will be. Reduction of impediments to learning process and identification of children who need extra help and providing that help or assisting families to access it. So that's actually directly from the ELF. So obviously, again, it's inclusion. Just because one of the children may have a few learning difficulties doesn't mean they should be excluded from the big group times. You just need to make sure that you're doing them all together, and then you can write that in your assessment that you're developing that for them. Evaluation of the effectiveness of the programme or curriculum, critical reflection and subsequent improvements in pedagogy. So this is reflecting obviously on yourself. You'd be doing that throughout all the observations anyway, so when it comes to the summaries that's just natural. So in the summaries you're not going to be reflecting on yourself as such, obviously reflecting on the child, but from you doing all the experiences you are reflecting in general and finding more about the child and yourself. Making learning visible to children, families, educators and other professionals. This can be perceived in a few different ways. It could be from like all the displays that you see around the room. It could be from the journals that I know you send them via an online website called Educa, don't you? Yeah, so it could be from, that's like the visual aid for the parents. So this is the first of the 5 outcomes. So like I said, in the summaries you will actually go through and under each of the headings state how, under each of the outcomes, not the individual headings, under each of the outcomes state how the child is achieving it and what they're achieving in it. So these are the 4 points for outcome 1. So 1.1, children feel safe, secure and supported. This is a pretty straightforward one which all your children by the June or the November should be achieving. This can be things from them coming in happy and wanting to come into community every morning and having a smooth transition. And it also links into children learn to, develop knowledge and confident self-identity, so they're confident in their abilities, they can come in on a morning.
If you've got a child that, say, should really be better than they are at this point in the year, do you just not ignore that, but just not focus on that bit of the outcome and just put
so
what they
you
are
can still developing a secure and supportive relationship, maybe. So you've noted it, 'cause it's good to note if they're not developing something that achieving something that they should be. So developing is always a great word to use because it's still quite positive to the parents, because you're not saying they can't do this, you're just saying they're still developing their needs. And then obviously, if this is for the November one and they're still not settled, if they're in kindergarten the next year, then that next educator will know that they still need to develop that need.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's like, say, for the June summary, you've wrote that, you know yourself, you have to think of strategies to help that child feel safe, secure and supported.
In the summaries, would you then write a plan of how you would achieve that, so they're not feeling safe and secure by June? Would I then write ways that I could help them to achieve
so
that?
at the end of the summaries, I've seen your summaries here, and your ed leader really likes you to write a goal at the bottom. So you can either have a few little goals, depending on what they are. It might be to like practice routine sort of situations. One little boy just might always just be in the wrong place, like he can never figure out what's going on. Or like you said, if they're not feeling safe, secure and supported, at the bottom you can write, I'm going to, over the next few months I'm going to work on developing Ben's transition on a morning or like throughout the day. And you don't have to go into great detail why, as long as you mentioned you're going to do it, and then in the following observations or even in your programming cycle, as long as you're actually doing active things to do that, then that's great.
What if by November you put that that's your aim in June and then they're still not achieving it?
That's fine, you can put still developing. It's some things are ongoing and it might be out of your hands. You can always have, if you're actually concerned about it with the parent, you can always have a sit down with the parent and talk about it. And you can maybe go through the summary. So obviously you'd have to talk to your manager, Sophie, about how, like, getting time to speak to that parent one-on-one. But yeah, you should just have a little word with the parent and see if there's anything at home maybe they could be doing on a morning before they come into kindy to get them used to coming in and being settled. And yeah, does that help? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So outcome 2, children are connected with and contribute to their world. So children develop a sense of belonging to groups and communities and understanding of the reciprocal rights and responsibilities necessary for active community participation. So this seems really far-fetched and quite difficult to, I don't know, implement and put into a program sort of thing, and to write if there are in their communities. But it could be a really simple thing, like when you've had outsiders come in. I know you have the St. David's retirement village coming here. So are they confident? Are they coming in and enjoying that experience? Are they having any like interaction with them? Children respond to diversity with respect. So that can be, it starts from such a young age. So are they including all their friends? Obviously quite in the younger rooms they won't have such friends yet, but are they acting differently towards children who may be different? Children become aware of fairness, so that could be as simple as sharing, taking turns. Children become socially responsible and show respect for the environment. That's a great one if you're ever doing any gardening like projects and things, or any like natural bird feeders or anything kind of do with the environment. That's what that would kind of go under if they're really interested in their natural world. Maybe go on insect hunts and things, and that's their real passion. You can put that under there for the summaries for them. So when you'd be writing the summaries, you wouldn't just list out Ben is aware of fairness, Ben is socially responsible. You'd write it in an example kind of way. I've got some examples in a minute, but you'd write it out in like a story flowing on way. So Ben really enjoys going on insect hunts and is showing that he's caring for the environment, like writing it out in a sentence, not just copying and pasting it. So outcome 3 is quite short. So children have a strong sense of well-being. Children become strong in their social and emotional well-being. Children take increasing responsibility for their own health and physical well-being. So obviously, even though there's only 2 points, these are really quite large sections. Becoming strong in their social and emotional well-being, that's a really big section. Like, to be able to say that they are strong for both of them, that means it's more the older children you can probably deal with, but if you've got really confident younger children and you have examples of how you think that, then that's fine. Children take increasing responsibility for their own health and physical well-being. That can be anything from toileting to knowing they should be going to washing their hands before they come sit down at the table, and like knowing that they need their nose wiping. It's really little things like that, or they're just starting to dress themselves. Knowing that they need their hat and shoes on, it's sun cream before they go outside. If they have a knowledge of that, you can write that into your summaries. So outcome 4. Children are confident and involved learners. You will use outcome 4 pretty much all the time, especially for observations. So most of your children should be achieving these. So it's thinking of really positive and direct observations you can write in the summaries for them, like little things that they do that show this. So 4.1, children develop dispositions for learning such as curiosity, cooperation, confidence, creativity, commitment, enthusiasm, persistence, imagination and reflexivity. So obviously this is, that's a lot of things, and a lot of children show confidence, especially when they're doing something they enjoy. They're always very curious. Cooperation, when you're asking them to do something and it's just happening, commitment to it, persistence, imagination, that comes under a lot of things that you will do. So you'll probably always be ticking 4.1 off. Just think of a really good experience that incorporates as many letters as you can when you're doing it in the summary. 4.2, children develop a range of skills and processes such as problem solving, inquiry, experimentation, hypothesizing, researching and investigating. So this is more obviously skill based. So you're thinking more here, it's more then with the problem solving skills. It's thinking more, are they thinking about what they're doing? Are they sat there with the systems trying to work it out? 4.3, children transfer and adapt what they have learned from one context to another. So this is a really good one that happens like over a couple of weeks. That's a good one to write into your summaries. Have they seen something happen at home that the parents have noticed, so they've been to the shops and then we'll let them pretend like pay the lady at the counter sort of thing and pack the bags. If they then come into the role play corner and then done the same thing, that could be from one context to the other. And 4.4, children resource their own learning through connecting with people, place, technologies and natural and processed materials. So obviously children love to investigate and explore. So is your child that you're doing the summary on trying to like do their own learning? Are they exploring? What are they doing? Are they talking with you? Are they playing with you? Are they watching how you do something and then doing it themselves, taking it away at other times? Are they using any of the materials from say your natural garden environment in different ways? Like it doesn't have to be the standard, you're playing in the sandpit, you're digging in the mud. What are they doing? Are they figuring out things for themselves? And finally, this is outcome 5. So this is very about children being effective communicators. So 5.1, children interact verbally and non-verbally with others for a range of purposes. So non-verbally, it's obviously, this is great for the younger room, but the non-verbal gestures even for the older ones, just their general disposition and how they are. Like, are they using hand gestures for things? Are they just looking at you when you're talking to them and having that good eye contact? Children engage with a range of texts and gain meaning from these texts. This doesn't necessarily need to be a text as in writing. This can be, it can be anything that children are aware of, like the pictures and like patterns. Children express ideas and make meaning using a range of media. So this is all your kind of messy activities and your fine motor drawing and writing, art making skills. Children begin to understand how symbols and pattern system works. This doesn't have to be really complicated. This can be really simple. Like when they're lining cars up in a line in an order, are they particularly picking out green, like the counting, and particularly one in the green counting bears, or that all the purple trucks? It's kind of them understanding. And symbols, if they've seen signs in the room that they're used to and they're understanding those signs, it doesn't have to be hard symbols. And 5.5, children use information and communication technologies to access information, investigate ideas, and represent their thinking. Now this can be all IT toys. So obviously for the older children, if they're using the iPads and things, that's a really simple one to do an example of. But for the younger room, if it's a battery kind of plugged in toy, that's the same. It's an IT toy, so that works if they're using that to explore.
Could it be that they're using their imagination for communication technologies? So say like if you would relate that to a baby picking up one of the toy phones and talking.
Yes, exactly. And that's also for the other one, it's like the context one from one context to another, because obviously they've seen a parent pick up that phone and use it before, so they're relating here. Yeah, that's perfect.
So is it better to put that it comes under several headaches, so you wouldn't just pick one and be like, okay, that's the. Is it better to put as many as it covers as possible?
Yes, so when you've, I'll show you the example of the summary, but because you're going to be writing it in sentences, you may find you are overlapping a little bit throughout, because obviously they do all overlap, because you'll be saying that maybe they're speaking in another one, which obviously links into the verbal communication here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all going to overlap. Just make sure, as long as you're writing a few experiences for each to make the understanding, I'll show you in a minute. We'll go through it and I'll explain. So, anyway, I have the examples of the January, June, November summaries. So the main differences between each of the three summaries are the times of year and stages of development that a child is at. So obviously you do, at this centre, you have a particular intake where you have all the children either move to a different class in January, or children start in your rooms in January. So a January summary is completed at the very beginning of that child's